Hello guys, Bogdan here and welcome to the Import-Export Hub channel. Okay, in this video I will analyze the imports and the exports of the Republic of Georgia, which is a country I've visited back in 2018 during a business trip, and I've have really beautiful memories. By the way, hello to Levon and his team. You were absolutely fantastic. Anyway, let's start this video and dive into the numbers. And as usual, I will analyze the top 10 export and import chapters, and then I will dive a little bit more and find out who are the top trading partners for each flow, considering the top 5 industries. Unfortunately, I have only the 2019 data. The data for 2020 was incomplete and had some inconsistencies. But nonetheless, let's start with the exports, and we see here that the amount is quite small, a little bit over $2.5 billion worth of exports, with ores dominating the exports in 2019 with almost $700 million. After we have beverages, spirits and vinegar, and we will see together that this is a very important export product for Georgia, and I think that Georgia has one of the oldest winemaking traditions in the world, if not the oldest. Then we have iron, steel, pharmaceutical products, and so on. And as you've probably noticed by now, my curiosity is always triggered when I see Romania as a top performer in terms of exports or imports. And this time it's with the imports from Georgia, which amounted to almost $180 million. And those exports were primarily driven by ores and fertilizers. And if ores have industrial use, especially in the metallurgical industry, the fertilizers import towards Romania, which is not small in terms of value, more than $9.5 million, clearly states that somebody in Romania understood the competitive advantage that Georgia has in this sector and decided to import from Georgia. Anyway, as we can see in this image, except the United States and China, all other countries are near Georgia's border or in close proximity, which somehow tells me that they are still strongly connected, at least economically, with the former Soviet republics. But somehow Georgia is trying to access new markets and spread the risk of over-dependency on regional trade and mono-product exports, as in the case with Romania, for example. Now moving on to the imports. Here I've added also the column with the imports with the exports, sorry, in order to have the trade balance. And as you can see here, most of the chapters are in red. So there is a negative balance of trade, except maybe with the iron and steel, beverages, ores, fertilizers, and the mining sector, especially gold. Now, in terms of imports, the main driver is chapter 27, so mineral fuels and mineral oils. Then we have machinery, electrical machinery, pharmaceutical products, and so on. In terms of importing partners, we have here the picture with the top 10 importing partners, with Turkey being the first trading partner, and the imports from Turkey are quite diversified. On the second place, we have the Russian Federation, and here the imports are rather commodity specific, like fuel and gas. Then we have China, the United States, Azerbaijan, which is also a single commodity. Then Germany, Ukraine, Armenia, Japan, and on the 10th place we have Italy. And here we see a picture that I've extracted with the imports from the United States, with chapter 84 being the biggest driver. Now moving on to the top 5 imports and export chapters. In order to see the trading partners, we begin with the exports for ores. And as I've said, this commodity has industrial purposes, as the steel refineries need the ores, the slag and the ash in order to extract the metals. And here we see that the exports have three main destinations: Bulgaria, China, and Romania, with Spain and Turkey of much less importance. The second most important industry in Georgia is the beverages and the spirit industry. And as I've said, I've been to Georgia, and I must confess that the water, the juices, and the wines from Georgia are top quality. Anyway, as you can see, there are more than $500 million worth of exports, with lots of countries who are sourcing from Georgia. Here, the Russian Federation is the top importer, with more than $240 million worth of imports from Georgia. Although quite recent, the Russian Federation retaliated on the Georgian wine industry and banned temporarily the imports of wine from Georgia. Just for your information, Ukraine imports from Georgia are more focused on spirits and wines. China's imports from Georgia are focused on wines and beer, while France, a major wine producer, is focusing its imports on spirits. Anyway, I can only congratulate the Georgian manufacturers and the exporters of spirits and wines, as their products are truly, truly top quality. Now, moving on to chapter 72, iron and steel. Again, this is an important industry for Georgia, with the United States and the Russian Federation the biggest importers. And again, here the countries importing iron and steel are quite numerous and spread all over the world. So clearly, Georgia has some competitive advantages, and I think that more than 90% of the production is destined for export. Moving on to the next chapter, which is chapter 30, so pharmaceutical products. Here we see that the countries to which Georgia is exporting are relatively close to Georgia, and my guess is that they are exporting low value over the counter pharma products. Anyway, these top 10 export partners make up for 93% of the total exports from Georgia, so they are quite important trading partners. And now the last top performing product in terms of exports, we have the fruit and nuts chapter, which is also very important, although it had only $121 million worth of exports. And again, here the Russian Federation is the biggest importer. And their imports are focused on apricots, citrus, and cherries. Armenia, for example, the second largest importer, it's focused on strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries, while Italy, for example, it's importing hazelnuts. And also China, it's a major importer of hazelnuts, by the way. And as I've said, I've been to Georgia in 2018, and Levan, my contact in Georgia, introduced me to a hazelnut collector and processor, and I was really, really impressed by their business. Anyhow, beautiful memories, and I hope I will manage to revisit Georgia very, very soon. Now, switching to the imported products, the biggest driver for the negative trade balance of Georgia is mineral fuels, as they have to import their gas and petrol from Azerbaijan, the Russian Federation, and Romania. Moving on to chapter 84, and here, as in the case for developing countries, you can tell about the purchasing power of their people by analyzing where do they import their products corresponding to chapters 84 and 85. And as you can see here, China is the main trading partner, as the price is lower compared to countries like Germany, Italy, or the United States. And anyway, this is how I interpret this data, and I might be wrong, of course, but nonetheless, as you can clearly see here, they are importing all over the world. And here I've added also some information about what are the main imports from China, Turkey, and the United States. And now moving on to chapter 85, which is the third largest driver for the Georgian imports, we see again that China is the first trading partner. And from here, they are importing monitors and projectors mostly. The United Arab Emirates is the second trading partner. And from here, they are importing telephone sets and mobile phones. And you might wonder why the United Arab Emirates are here. And I might have an answer. I might be wrong, of course, but I think that it has to do with the fact that the United Arab Emirates is a major transshipment hub for air freight. And I think that what is happening is the following. The mobile phones arrive from South Korea, China, or Taiwan in the United Arab Emirates. They are put in a free trade zone in order to avoid paying duties or taxes. Maybe in those free trade zones there will be some small value added activities, and from there they are shipped to Georgia. Again, I might be wrong, but if I were in this kind of business, I would clearly do like this. And before I finish with this chapter from Italy, from example, they are importing electric instantaneous or storage water heaters, for example. Now moving on to chapter 30. This time on the import flow, we see that the countries from which Georgia is importing are not so close to Georgia as in the case with the exports, and most importantly, they are traditional pharma producers like France, Switzerland, India, or the United Kingdom. And here I think that the imports are focused rather on expensive prescription-based pharma products, and that's why we see these trading partners. Anyway, just for your information, I've highlighted also the exports of Romania and the United States towards Georgia, which are quite low in terms of value, if you ask me. And last but not least, I will finish with chapter 39, so plastics and articles of plastics, with Turkey and China dominating the Georgian imports. Also, Iran, a major petrochemical producer, it ranks as a top trading partner. And here I've added some information about what does Georgia import from Turkey, Iran, and Poland, for example. And also, I've managed to get my hand on a couple of companies who made some investments in Georgia. Of course, this is not a complete list, and I really don't know how up to date the list is, but nonetheless, it helps you understand who are the big players, I don't know, in fertilizer industry, the banking, or the phone operators. So, in conclusion, Georgia, with its 4 million inhabitants, is not a major player in terms of imports or exports. And if you pay close attention, you will notice that there are 3 or 4 common chapters for the imports and exports flows. Chapter 72, 30, 84, and 27, at least from the top 10 list. So there is a low intra-chapter exchange, which tells me that they are not yet there in terms of adding value to their exported products, and that they are somehow dependent on low value and commodity related exports like fertilizers and soda ash, for example. And I'm not saying that this is a bad or a good thing. I think that this is the path for every developing economy or developing country towards a developed economy. And if you ask me, in countries like Georgia, lies the big potential for importing and exporting activities. Okay, so that's it for today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.